everyone, this is Persephone, and today I'm going to speak to you very openly about men who have zero game. And by men, I mean mainly beta men, omega men, and subs, because alpha men can get away with a lot of shit, and usually alpha men don't do any of the things that I'm going to describe. So I'm saying those things because I have confronted some of the men who have been harassing me the last months, and most of them were shocked, saying no one ever told me. So this is a channel where we don't really have the usual neurotypical filters and we point out the elephant in the room. So I'm going to tell you some behaviors that make you come off as repulsive, desperate, creepy, atrocious, and a loser. And if you're interested in dating or if you're interested in getting a goddess, you should know them and avoid them. Okay, are you ready? Take notes. Behavior number 1. Showing that you have no life. This is something that happens to me recently a lot. That when there are people who are spending money on me, like subscribing to my OnlyFans, distributing, sending gift cards and all of that stuff that happen daily, I usually say that you can send me a message, we can text, we can chat, because I don't want to be completely inconsiderate and a bitch. So what happens is a person texts me, we chat for, I don't know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, depends on if I'm free, if I'm doing something else on the computer, so I can easily chat if the person is very interesting, and then we call it off for that day. And 2 or 3 hours later, they text me again. And then 5 or 6 hours later, they text me again. And I tell them, how often do you text your friends? You should text your friends once every few days, right? Unless something comes up. You don't text your friends every time you have nothing to do, like every few hours. Why on earth would you text a woman now and then 2 hours later saying what's up or how are you or what are you up to? In 2 fucking hours. How much can I be up to in 2 hours? I mean, what do you think has changed? This shows that you're obsessed, that you have no life, and that you're desperate. I'm not saying you should play mind games and pretending that you don't have time to answer someone's calls, or that you didn't see their message, or just waiting 24 hours. I'm just saying, have a life and be legit too busy to message someone every 2 hours. Build a life for yourself. Nothing comes worse, like, as a guy who has nothing going on for himself and he's waiting to text me, and then he's waiting to text me again, and then he wants to ask me and all of that stuff. And to take it a step further, usually those men, they expect me to entertain them. Because if you ask them what are you up to, they have nothing to say and they want me to come up with a conversation topic. So usually I tend to ditch people like that unless they understand and they start to message me every few days, but even then I don't think really that much of them. I value people that they have something to say every time because they are doing something with their lives. So if you're dating, don't do that. Don't text a woman constantly. Like I said, be busy, have your own life, your own hobbies, your own goals. Go monk mode if you have to build something so that you're not the guy who's messaging what are you up to. Behavior number 2. Messaging me and bragging how handsome you are and how big is your dick without sending pictures. Every time I see a sub who says, I'm interested in serving you and I'm very handsome and I have a big dick, my original reaction is, how about no? Because I'm supposed to be the cerebral narcissist here and I don't have time in my life for your hypertrophic ego of yours. You know, if you're so handsome and you have such a big dick and you're so popular with women, you wouldn't even be watching my channel. You wouldn't even be interested in Fiendom. You would have a real life living goddess for free. Okay, so either you're a catfish and you're going to be like the Indian janitor who originally got red-pilled and then he gave up and now he's catfishing, or you're delusional and your mom told you you're handsome and you took it seriously, or you're some kind of other disordered person that you think that I'm stupid and I have such low standards that anything that has a penis that is not 3 inches counts as a big penis. Overall, pictures speak louder than words. If you're so handsome, surprise me with a picture. Say, hey, this is me, or hey, this is me in a video. Not just a dick picture, because that also could have been stolen. Okay, but even that, I'm not going to date you. So for me, that shows that you don't have boundaries as a sub. I don't care if a sub is handsome or not, I don't care if a sub has a big dick or not, in the sense of I don't see my subs as potential partners. So there is a pretty high chance that you're someone who is a pseudo sub and who thinks that, okay, I'm going to approach her under the safe frame of a sub and then I'm going to ask her to date. It's not going to work out, let's not waste our time. So yeah, again, if you're a beta who wants to date, don't approach women sending weird-ass messages that, oh my god, I'm so handsome. I don't know if on Grindr that works, if gay men would be interested. Women are not interested. Okay, time to stop. Behavior number 3, having a bunch of weird-ass hobbies no one cares about and forcing them down to the other person's throat, aka Kim, my Asian husband. We have at least one fight every 2 days over that even now. He started reading recently a Chinese novel that is 3,000 pages long. Yep, 3,000 pages. And every time he reads that novel, he wants to share with me what happens in the current chapter. First of all, for me, with all of the businesses that I have going, I hardly have time to take a shower, much more read something that is 3,000 pages. Second, I would never read this kind of junk. Sorry, that's my honest opinion and he knows it. It's junk. I have completely different taste on what I read. So, there comes a point where you say to a person, I'm not interested in that. You can always join a book club about that novel and talk. I mean, you know how much of a Murakami obsessed person I am. I've joined many book clubs, I've joined many Facebook clubs with other equally creepily obsessed people as me, and we can talk about the novel for 2 days straight. I'm not going to force my taste on other people in a novel or in an anime or in a movie and harass them and then say, why I have no friends, it must be the hypergamy. I had 2 guys recently. One of them was interested in cameras from the 60s, antique cameras. And he would send me message after message with each new camera that he bought and how he's cleaning it up and how much time he has to waste to clean it up and all of that stuff. The other guy was obsessed with comics and comic cons and stuff like that. And he was even more insufferable than the camera guy. So I tried telling to that person how many women are really interested in comic and superheroes, because honestly, I'm not interested at all. And he would say, well, there are some girls who cosplay their favorite character. Okay, from an e-thought to other e-thoughts, that's why they do it. They do it because they make cosplay for the betas and the other guys to distribute them, okay? So eventually I had to say to both guys, this is not going to work out because I cannot open my email and have to read a bunch of spam all day, every day. So one other thing that shows that you have no game isn't that you have weird hobbies. I support people having hobbies. It is that you assume that everyone else is into the same thing and you harass them to oblivion, which is something that should be autistic, but surprisingly, although I am autistic, I don't try to force my bullshit on anyone. And I'm saying to people that yes, for example, when I start talking about AMWF and take things too far, or when I start saying the same story for the millionth time, just skip that video. You have the choice. But when it's one-on-one, let's say you get on a date on Tinder, you cannot keep the other woman to talk about cameras for 40 minutes straight. Unless you met her on a camera club, then yeah, go crazy together. But when people assume that someone else that has never expressed any interest in something is going to listen about it for hours and hours, and especially when it comes to Kim, his description of the novel are so long, it's easier to just read the novel. I'm not joking. And his descriptions about the movie are so long, it's easier to just watch the movie. Like, people say AMWF makes you happy. If you were 1 week into my life, you would have robbed. You would have used the premium pink robe I have for bondage videos on yourself. And it would be a one-way use. Another thing that makes you have no game. Constantly mentioning your mom, what she thinks about everything, your dad, your best friend's girlfriend, your best friend's girlfriend's sister's boyfriend, and so on. Something that is extremely unattractive is the guy who lives in the referendum world, where everyone else sits down with him to decide about his life. I've met a guy recently that he was very physically attractive, like I would say unusually attractive for me for a white guy, because usually I'm not that attracted to white guys. To some, yes. And he became a complete turn-off because he is always, my friend suggested this business idea and we're going to do it, and my friend suggested going to this country and we're going to go, and my friend this and my friend that. Like, he had made such a great impression on me, and when he started speaking and it was all my friend this, my friend that, it was such a big turn-off, because I'm not saying that you should live alone like a crazy person in the mountains and not take other opinions, of course, but there has to be a balance. Like, your friends suggest some things, you suggest some things. There isn't any point into your friends leading you on totally. So I was like, yeah, that's not going to work out, you know what I mean? Don't be the pushover, don't be the guy who talks and agrees with whoever talked before him, don't be guy without personality, extremely unattractive. Or if you are, try to develop opinions slowly. Another thing that shows that you have no game, stinginess. I'm not saying you should waste money on women that you don't know, because yes, there are women who are predators, there are women that they go on dates on you when they know they don't want you, when they know you won't get sex just to get food, sure. But there is a difference between being thrifty and being stingy. You know what I mean? There are dates that you can go on with women that you don't have to spend all that much. And if a woman is so materialistic that she wants you to spend $200 on the first date, I would say just get an escort and use the money, like, you know, I mean, if the woman is usually gold digging and you don't make 6 digits, there is no point going bankrupt over here. What I'm saying is people who think that not spending anything is awesome. Like, I have guys who message me and say I never spend anything on women. Am I supposed to be impressed by that? Like, seriously, you're sending this to me that I have a Findom business, which is essentially a business making money out of thirsty men, and I'm supposed to be impressed by how amazing you are, and you went and told to save even more money. Like, dude, come on, brag to your other stingy friends. For me, men who are stingy, they're stingy in everything. They're bad in sex, they're bad in feelings, they're bad in business, because if you make good money, you don't save the $3 from the Starbucks coffee and expect to be rich in 137 years, okay? There are times when you can have great dates without spending a lot of money. This comes from a thrifty person, me. So keep your stinginess to yourself. If you don't want to spend for women and risk just going home with blue balls, like I said, spend on escorts or buy quality porn, or just go to an agency where people do background checks and find someone who wants to get married. Don't go around saying, I don't spend anything, I'm so cool. Like, dude, you're not cool. You're poor, okay? And being poor isn't cool, at least not where I'm coming from. And last but not least, another person that has no game, sending a dick picture without sending your name, without sending hi, without saying anything, and it's not even a big dick. It's average or a little bit below average, and by average, the medically average is 5 inches. I will never forget that in my life. It was extremely embarrassing, and this comes from me, I'm not embarrassed in general. I was waiting for public transit, and there were a bunch of old people around me because it was the morning, and usually here in the morning there aren't young people outside. It's whoever is out there is usually either ETHOD or underemployed or unemployed or working a night job. So there were 5 or 6 old people around me. I think most of them are old women, like over 70 years old. And I was having my phone and I got a notification and it was a message. And I opened the text. I was sitting in a bench and I opened the text without thinking. And it's a huge dick picture. Like, very big picture, took over the entire screen, average dick. And I look at it and I realize that I don't know the person who sent it. And the next moment, the bench around me has been cleared up. Everyone has left. Because obviously people peeked over my shoulder and saw that dick. And the impression they had about me, let's just say it got lowered and lowered and lowered, and everyone started avoiding me. Because receiving dick pictures at 9:30 in the morning, yeah, people are going to say, what the fuck? So, and opening them in public. So this guy thought he's going to impress me with his 5.5 inches at 9:30 a.m. without even saying, hi, I'm this person, that's my name, I found you from YouTube or Twitter or whatever. This is when you know that the guy has no game. I mean, okay, if your dick was 9 inches, I would understand you make an entrance, but with 5 inches and this, you get blocked. So half humanity has a dick, unless your dick is extraordinary, or unless you know I like you, or you know the woman likes you and she's going to be turned on. Don't send it randomly. We are not going to be impressed. I know a guy who says that he sends dick pictures and then he jerks off thinking the reaction of the women who get mad at him. And then he's sending them the jerking off video when they insult him. So if you have weird ass fetishes like that, I'm going to say pay someone to humiliate you when you send random jerking off videos. If you don't, that's sexual harassment. It makes you come off as very creepy, and women talk about that shit. So I know Facebook groups that specific women are texting each other about the guy who's sending his non-impressive dick randomly. So you don't want to be that guy. You know, you don't want to be the 5-inch and exhibitionist guy. Not cool. So if you're doing any of the things that I just described, time to stop doing them today and start leveling up. I'm going to be posting videos about leveling up on YouTube. The good stuff are going to be on OnlyFans. I'm done being nice here and posting things for free for you and getting death threats and rape threats. So that's about it for today. Thank you for watching.